Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. And first, my congratulations to Eileen Kelly and Colleen Sowell, who you've just met, who have invited me today. They've been working really hard on this whole series of presentations through the Apex. And these events are theoretically happening across the country. And I don't think we realize how much they do. They're in the background, they're helping small businesses, coaching them whether they should or shouldn't be in government contracting. And I think the importance of this day is to just stop and also recognize that they are government funded. And even though the government's closed today, they're all at work helping us. So my sincere appreciation for that. So let me just share, and I'll go straight into my presentation here. So it is called, let me just put that down, How Illinois Businesses Can Attract Government Buyers. But essentially, what I will cover today applies to everybody because invisible companies don't win government contracts. It's really that simple. All right. So today we have a compressed time. If we had more, we would expand. But today I'd like to really drill down on what is LinkedIn? How does it compare to Facebook, Instagram, Reddit, TikTok, YouTube? Who uses LinkedIn and why you should as well? Then we'll get into the practicalities of getting started. And then I want to walk you through what I call my pre-framework, the PRE. It stands for positioning, reputation, and engagement. And as Colleen said, at the end, we'll have plenty of time for questions. And anything that doesn't get addressed today, also feel free to reach out to me directly. You can DM me through LinkedIn. I'd be very happy to answer any questions we miss. So first, just a little bit about me. My business is called LinkedIn for GovCon, and I am specifically serving small businesses who want to increase their visibility on this platform to attract federal buyers, government buyers in general, and teammates to establish yourself on this platform. You'll hear elsewhere in the presentation about the GovCon Chamber, which was founded by my brother Neil. I know a lot of you are connected to Neil, but I've been working with him since 2018. And then a year ago, we created GovCon in a Box as a way of connecting the various platforms so that you could see your overall federal visibility, what was on the SBA, FPDS, your various platforms, so that you could get better about aligning your messaging. I'm the CEO of LinkedIn for GovCon, and I'm also a consultant, a trainer, and a speaker for a variety of events like today. So let's get straight into it. What makes LinkedIn different, and how do these platforms compare? So I like to jump to the bottom first, which is realizing social media platforms are business tools run by businesses to make money, the same way as you run your business to make money. So LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft. Instagram and Facebook are owned by Meta, Facebook Meta. YouTube is owned by Google. That's relevant because Google also owns Gemini, Notebook LLM, and a variety of AI tools that are coming out and that we use in our business. And then the final one is Reddit. And I've written about that before. Reddit is actually publicly traded on the stock exchange. And so that one is more private driven. So going back to the beginning, LinkedIn is the only platform designed for professional networking and recruiting. That was its original purpose. That is exclusive purpose. It has overlap to the recreational capacity of the other platforms, entertainment capacity, but really the priority is to build business, build networks, and help you generate revenue and grow your communities. It is also the only platform that requires you to put your real name. You can't put, best GovCon guy ever at LinkedIn.com. Like it's not that kind of a thing as you would with the other platforms. It also has more visible buyers and businesses active. You will not generally see government buyers on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, but you might see them under pseudonyms in Reddit. So we can talk at the end of the session about kind of how Reddit works if anyone's interested, but it's also under this generic handle, whereas LinkedIn has your professional name. LinkedIn also has company pages, and so essentially it has a smaller but more focused group. You could say, well, there's more people on Facebook, whatever, but people are just scrolling and they're not actually active or engaging anything. Okay, so on LinkedIn, the typical LinkedIn profiles are 54% have a university degree. They have twice the buying power. 4 out of 5 surveyed say they drive the business decisions for their company, and 40% engage business pages every week. So this is a highly active, fairly informed audience for your business development activities. So LinkedIn, again, this is just more public proof. LinkedIn delivers the best value in the business sector. And you can see Facebook, YouTube are far behind. Some of the features that are on those other platforms have been released into LinkedIn in the last 2 years, like videos and some other dynamics. And that will keep it out in front. That's how it's growing. Okay, so who do we see on LinkedIn? There are 4 major groups that we segment on. There's the government buyers. This is what we're talking about. We want to find them. There's agency pages and there's individual profiles. And their purpose is to communicate the priorities of their agencies and what they're looking for and seeing. They answer a lot of common questions, FAQs, and things that we need to know. They release strategic documents. They're there more in a communication, listening capacity. LinkedIn is a visibility platform. It's not going to be where you have your one-on-one meetings. It's not going to be it's not your email and your direct contact. It is your visibility platform. Second other category, industry influencers. So if you have people that are leading the edge on in manufacturing or information technology or legal issues or whatever your specialty niche is, you're going to see the people out front that are analyzing the major data. Then you're going to have large prime and small government contractors. These are the just ordinary people running the back of the business of government. It will be competitors and it will be team marketers. So when you look at what they're sharing, they're doing both information, but also they're looking to see what you're doing. Does it fit what their needs are? So there's a visual dynamic there. And the 4th category is prospective employees and investors. This is really important. The visibility that you're putting out there is going to attract more than just the buyers. It's people who want to work with you and perhaps want to buy your company from you eventually. And wouldn't that be great? So I want you to think of LinkedIn as your online capability statement. You already have a capability statement, and the purpose of that is to give a quick snapshot of your company so that you can get a meeting with the right person to start having proper conversations about whether you're the right fit for what their needs are, what you have. That's your capability statement. LinkedIn is your dynamic one. So I'm going to show you in a few minutes how it functions as a business card, how it relates to your elevator pitch, your landing page. It is your online capability statement. Everything that you would generally carry on your main one, you look up there, you see logo and cage, about your company, your core competencies, past performances, et cetera, contact information. All of that should be woven in to your dynamic LinkedIn presence. This is my favorite part. LinkedIn is a search engine. I have a bar across top. You can search by people, posts, products, jobs, companies. You can research your peers. You can research professional associations. Some are more dynamic than others, the groups. You can look for events. You can search by schools. That's an underrated one. Say you went to Mizzou and you wanted, or sorry, I lived in St. Louis for a long time. Say you went to any of the major Illinois universities, you could search who else is out there and who might own a business in your space. You can use all those filters in real time to see what's going on in your niche. It's a free marketing machine. And also, if it's well written, LinkedIn is thoroughly searchable by Google and Bing. So your content that you write on Google, I'm sorry, your content that you write on LinkedIn appears on Google and has the capacity to show up in AI results. So how do we research? Just for the purposes today, I showed you if you wanted to find out, well, where are the government agencies and the buyers? So you go to the filters, you search for companies in the US. That's really important because there's a huge body of members that are just offshore. So you want to narrow your search filters. And I put affiliated with armed forces because that was, it's a particular industry category. So you choose that. In a quick search, I found 5,600 federal agency and department agency pages. Now, I will say, you can see there's 45,000 under the acquisition group, Department of War. There's 2 million under the general Department of War. Of course, that's going to be a lot of vets. You can search by acquisition offices, any dimension you're looking for. And as you do your research, you're going to see that some are just placeholder pages and some are really dynamic, where they're trying to reach industry and potential employees and deliver their message and their priorities. Then I decided I would narrow it by Illinois for today. And then I narrowed it down by Illinois, the same. And here you go. Army Transportation Command, Mobility Command, Cyberspace Wing. Then I decided, just to show you how the filters can work for you, I searched then by employee size, 500 to 1,000, still staying in just Illinois for today's example. And this is not a surprise to anyone in Illinois. You have the Army Corps of Engineers, Rock Island. And what you might be surprised is that many of the groups within that entity have their own separate page. So for you as a business, you'd want to look at that, see what they're talking about, maybe see if there's anybody there you know, follow the relevant pages so that you can start to see and get notifications about what they are talking about and what they're saying are the priorities. So this is fun. Just indulge me. I wanted to show you how LinkedIn, what you write on LinkedIn will appear on Google. So I just went to Google before this presentation and searched LinkedIn GovCon expert. And LinkedIn now has an AI overview. And it came up as you expected, find a LinkedIn, do this, use these search terms, look for individuals. And then I was stunned to see my name, who to search for, specialized consultants, focus on. And then beneath that, it has my webpage, which also has the same keywords, and then my actual LinkedIn profile. And this is so important. Your LinkedIn profile just turns up in the normal results. I didn't curate this. This was a screenshot straight out the computer. And it's because I use the keywords that are unique to my niche, right? 8A, Women Owned, HubZone, creating government contact strategies. Google looks at what I'm writing about and says, yes, that seems to match the search intent of the person who came. So if you take the time to write in the quality content and the about section narratives that align with what you're trying to communicate, you will appear even with the new AI changes. Okay, so let's get started. Again, it's very simple. LinkedIn, I know some of you are on, some of you set up accounts and never returned. Basically, there's a personal profile and a company page, and you can start for free. A standard professional profile would include at the top your banner. Now, I'm using my friend Tanya because she's great and she's in healthcare. And so it was easy to point out the elements. You know, immediately looking at her banner that she's in the healthcare field. I probably would suggest that she makes the banner a little bit crisper because I think the colors are having trouble showing up. But it's good. It's good. And she's got her logo on there. Her photo is very professional. This is a professional platform. You don't want anything that draws from that. So you don't want a picture with your cat or your kids or, you know, out on your boat, unless you sell boats. You want a professional photo. It's usually just a headshot. Frankly, you don't have to overthink it. If you use your iPhone, the capacity is super good. So you can use that. You can have a friend do it. But definitely the first impression is your photo. Your name should be the name that people call you. It should not be so many things that they can't figure out what's important in the listing. There's just too many letters, and people have limited attention spans. I know that's Tanya. I know she has an MBA, and I'll leave. Here's a little trick just for shining up today. You see where it says healthcare strategist? I'm going to see how many of you do this. If you go to your LinkedIn profile and you have an option to put in pronoun, him, her, she, they, other, you can write whatever you want on the other. So I coach Tanya. She's got healthcare strategists. It's really, your gender is not as important as what you do is. So take advantage of that field. That's going to be the best takeaway you have today. Okay, underneath that is what we call the tagline. For Tanya, it's empowering healthcare facilities with lean processes and AI solutions to maximize efficiency and patient access. What is important here, if you slow down and read it again, Tanya has put all of her keywords in her description. She doesn't say that she is the CEO. She is, but it's really not important. What she can do for her desired client is what's important. So right through there, healthcare facilities, bam, lean process, bam, AI solutions, maximum efficiency. Efficiency, especially under this government administration, is a great word to have in there. And patient access, very important in her space. No emojis, no distractions, nothing that says girl dad or loves puppies. That's really fun. That's Instagram. The moment you do that, you lose credibility. It looks like you're on LinkedIn to play around and meet other puppy lovers. This is not the platform for that. Underneath her tagline, you'll see she has a call to action. She says website, mine says see my newsletter. Other people might have their Calendly link to set up one-on-one appointments. It's entirely up to you, but you want something that gets people to take the next action after they've gotten excited about their first glance at you. On the far right, you see where it says current company. This is super important. I don't want to say I can't imagine, because actually I can't imagine. So many people overlook this. So when you're doing your profile and you have your experience section, it gives you a choice to show your company in your banner field up here. You always want to show your company because people are skimming. They're like, oh, that's Tanya. She's at 5D Healthcare. They do not want to see what university Tanya went to. Now, there's a space for it and she can put it there, but that's not what you're looking for. So if you do another major takeaway, go and make sure your company is showing on your profile. Okay, so this is what it would look like clean. On this case, I wanted to flag that next to 5D Healthcare, you'll see her logo. That logo is the logo from her company page, which I'll show you in a second. And that's how you know that you were linked to the correct company. Also, when you have these pages, every time you leave a comment or reference, you can tag your company in your activity on LinkedIn. So you want to be sure that your logo is correct and your company name is correct. Okay, we'll look at company pages. This is a high level of her company page. And what I really just want to flag here is her tagline will be similar, but not identical to her personal page, because this is what the company does versus her personal expertise. And then in the overview, we did the same thing. We described what her company does and made sure that it was rich with all the keywords that a buyer, teammate, or government buyer might search for. They're going to look for, okay, who's writing about healthcare? Or who's writing about quality management, compliance, Lean Six Sigma. These are high critical workflows. These are high search for terms in her space. So this is something, and this is a new page. The importance of a company page is that it provides searchable data to turn up in Google and to turn up when people are searching things on LinkedIn. This will not be your dynamic page. your personal profile, how you personally act up or engage on LinkedIn. That's what's important. This is your backup. It establishes the legitimacy of your company and gives you a chance to put things like, you'd attach your capability statement and you would put in your UEI and just everything that would come up your capability statement. You'd want to be sure it was here because all of those terms are searchable. And then finally on the company page, all of your employees should have personal pages, but they should all link back to your company page. And what that tells LinkedIn is that this is a dynamic company with active members, and LinkedIn will push your activity and promote it further. Okay, so how does this all work and why are we even doing this? So my pre-framework for visibility, I just made it simple. It's the 3 steps of how you approach all this. P is positioning, R is reputation, E is engagements, the dynamics. So when you're positioning, what do you sell? Who do you sell it to? Does your profile match your SBA profiles? So SAM.gov and SBS, the former DSBS. And I want to just pause there. I would strongly encourage people to go look at their SBA profile. When the SBA migrated their data, lots of things disappeared. Let's say that. Particularly, they didn't do a good job migrating everyone's past performance. So if a buyer goes to look at your SBA profile, even though you're a competent and experienced company and you had all those fields filled out, it might not appear on their new version. So you're going to have to go fight them and make sure that they correct your records. Otherwise, the buyers will look and say, oh, this company has no experience. And of course, that's not true. Reputation is how you demonstrate your expertise. Can you prove it? This is where posts, videos, documents, insights, case studies, and webinar activity. This is where we demonstrate why we're relevant and why should people follow us and get to know us. And then the final one is, of course, engagement. Do you have a strategy for following, connecting, and starting conversations to grow your network? Because the more you grow and the more you know people, then you know the people that they know people. And every time you make a connection, you then have access to all of their connections. So it's exponential. It's how we grow. It's how we move from just general commenting, which we'll talk about shortly, and moving into direct messages, to emails, to requests for meetings and introductory calls. I want to just pause here. This is the framework, right? So I want you to imagine that you go to the AUSA event and you bring your company down because you're trying to get an Army contract. And when you get there, like, oh, hey, Brett, this is your, I'm going to use you, Brett. Hey, Brett, this is really good. Sounds really interesting what you're selling. I'm going to follow up with you. In the meantime, they're going to jump and look up Brett on LinkedIn. And if what Brett says in the face-to-face does not match what Brett looks like on LinkedIn, it just creates unnecessary friction. But if they go to Brett's profile and they see, oh yeah, he was talking about those systems of efficiency and those IT tools, and okay, it's a continuity. I remember that conversation. LinkedIn is your 24-hour visibility tool. It's whatever you're talking outside of the platform is what should be talking for you when you're not there. So I'm just going to use mine really quick on just the positioning on the profile. We did it on Tanya's. I'll go fast here. One thing that's very easy is this custom URL. This is just a field you can change in LinkedIn, but instead of using the URL associated with your current one that has a bunch of default numbers, you just go click, get rid of the defaults, and put your own name. That way, when you go, it's nice and clean. We talked about the banner, the photos, the tagline, and in my case, I have a school affiliation. I went to Loyola Marymount in Los Angeles. That taps me into the whole LMU network and actually also taps me into the whole Jesuit university system. And these are just warm introductory things. All of this data is searchable. If they search visibility for women-owned business, I'm going to pop up. So that's why we want to be very, very intentional. It's not about your job. It's about what you can do for other people. So your tagline, that's the second piece. I'm going back to my own. Very clear, you can see what I do. I do visibility, who I do it for. Women, 8A, HubZone, and I attract federal buyers. It's very clear when you look. I help these people get these results. It's only one sentence. So it's like not your elevator pitch, but it's really your hook. Why people should care about what you do. Nobody cares that you're the CEO or vice president of anything. Sorry. But they do care if you say, I save money, I make migration systems, I make, oh my God, there was a woman recently. She keeps airplanes from falling out of the sky by having the right screws in place. It was humorous, but it really caught my attention. It's what you do. You're establishing your exact niche so people don't have to work hard. Who you help, who you work with, ideally the result or the outcome. And again, it's indexed by Google and these search machines. It's your first impression. So when they come to visit, they're going to see your face and this line. So you really want to put some thought into this. Here's some examples of how this gets played out. So I looked for somebody in Illinois who was in healthcare, and I grabbed Matt Richards' profile. Actually, I just grabbed his post recently. What's very cool about this, in his case, his title's important. That's good. And so his tagline is okay. What's well here is that he is using intentional keywords. He's tagging the people he's mentioning his post, and he has a professional photo. And you can see his traction. Now, if you engage with this post, you can actually click that 146 and you can see all the people that engaged with this post. And you can actually say, oh, we have common interests. These people are interested in how much Cook County is saving. Maybe I should follow some of those people. And that's small little ways that you can expand your network. Also, if you were in this space, you'll notice there's only 5 comments. I don't show them, but when there's only 5 comments and you have something quality to say, you want to say it, because the chances of being seen, and especially being seen by someone in a position of decision making, this is an opportunity for you. Here's another tagline to show you how it goes with you. Natasha, she's in the GovCon space. She's great. If you look at the way she describes her businesses, who she sells, what her delivery is. And then I grabbed a snapshot of how this looks when she comments. Every time Natasha comments, I help B2B, B2G companies increase sales every single time. And she writes thousands of comments every year. It's soft branding, repetition, visual identity, super important. In the case of Dominique Holmes, she's a specialist at DHA. In her case, her power and her authority comes from being at an agency in a specialist capacity. She doesn't need to do some of the transformational approaches that we're talking about. Every time someone leaves a comment, you respond. That's just politeness and good conversations. So the next major section in your LinkedIn profile is your about section. And this is essentially your value prop in story form. It's how you help. It's what agencies you've helped in the past. It's your business expertise. You have, I think, 2,600 characters. Yeah, 2,600 characters. You should use them all, because even though people would generally only read the first paragraph, all the rest of it is marketing value. When they come back or they look or if they search for companies with your certifications, you are going to pop up because you have all this stuff in your narrative. Reputation. Now we're into the R. This is your content creation. This is how you show that you are a subject matter expert. People can filter on posts, and then you can find out who's talking about all the different issues that you're writing about. So you could be hosting live events, or a video short by your CEO talking about the trends in your industry. These are very popular because people want to know who's leading your company. Are they personable? Insights on industry trends. That's super important right now, especially if you're in manufacturing and you're worried about supply chain or tariff impacts or employee accessibility. If you have an expert and you have an impact story, write about it. People want to know strategies, infographics, case studies. Really, if there's an open field, just show who you are. I just grabbed a couple of good examples. Here's a standard post. This was put out by Rhodes State College, October Manufacturing Month. That's important because a lot of times we search under thematic things. So Manufacturing Month. Then they have buzzwords, in-demand careers, manufacturing, engineering. This post will pop up anytime anybody is searching. And it's just a simple post, a couple of guys, a couple of technology things, you think manufacturing. Then you're going to want to find out more about them. So that's a standard post. Newsletters are superb. Newsletters from individuals far outweigh company newsletters, but they're still important because they are 100% searchable. The newsletters I write, my LinkedIn strategies, one often appears on Google because I'm talking about the things that people are searching for. So this is an example of this gentleman. He's a production engineer and he's sharing the company newsletter. Very dynamic and very visually compelling. Here's Western Global. Again, I just went into manufacturing. This is an example of a video. I'm not going to play it, but you can see it's a behind the scenes, real time. It's very attractive. This just came out, so don't pay attention to how much engagement there is. What is important on this one is if you look at the bottom where it says reactions, you're going to see all the people who engaged. Again, if you're looking to get connected to Western Global or the people that are interested, you should look. These would be great people to follow. Carousels and PDFs. These are multi-page documents. You might be sharing a training document or a press release or a strategic report, a blend of images and text. Super, super attractive. People prefer this because you're giving enough information, but it's easy to consume because people scroll and they skim. So you want something to stop the scroll and deliver just enough information where they want to follow you and maybe find out more. So I told you I'd give a plug for Neil. I don't know if he's on the call, but he's the best example of live events. So I just went to Neil's LinkedIn profile, dropped over to events, and just grabbed a screenshot of some of his recent trainings. If I was looking to expand my network, I would attend all of Neil's trainings, but I would also look to see who was commenting. Are there people I should be connecting to, following, learning their comments, introducing myself? In the beginning, a lot of the early people today, we were chatting because we all met in the comment section of Neil's daily trainings. Okay, let's move on to the engagement, the E. This is your professional networking. Remember, LinkedIn is professional networking and commenting, whether it's in Neil's events or other people's events. This one is a good example, or on posts or other information that's out on the platform. That's how you do it. And in the recent Microsoft report about LinkedIn, they said that commenting has doubled, and that's where most of the traction is happening. That's how you introduce yourself. So make sure it's quality. If you wouldn't say it aloud, don't write it down. Leave open-ended comments. If you ask somebody genuinely what they think or how to take it or what your experience is, this is what builds trust. And I strongly want to avoid AI-generated comments because not only are they not helpful, but LinkedIn is starting to recognize where the AI dynamics are, and they're punishing content that looks 100% AI generated content, et cetera, et cetera. So here's a good example of quality dialogue. Dr. Sela Ashram posted some analysis on the 7 months of the economy. Amar responded with his take, contributing from his expertise, and the author responded again. This sends a message. Not only are these two people now talking to each other, but it sends a message to LinkedIn and the algorithm that you're writing valuable content that people want to interact, and LinkedIn will push your content further. If they think you're writing rubbish, they're not going to send it out into your network or anywhere. Here's another great example. John Butts has been active in the GovCon world. He's the PCR for the SBA, and he's giving his own advice to our community about what we should be doing. This is an example of a federal buyer on the platform, listening to what businesses are talking about and providing a counterpoint. So, for example, he's talking about the changes to the FAR and that it's going to be bumpy, but let's navigate the transition together. So that is somebody you could reach out and introduce yourself to, because he's a small business advocate. Here's one of our favorite advocates, David Waltz from Navwar and Keyport. I just went to David's profile, which is another tip. Go to the profile, activity, pick comments, and then just skim down to see what they're talking about. These comments actually were all off of Neil's events and one of his posts, but he's saying right there what agencies want us to know. Start with the business professional. Here's the link to the long-term acquisition. Hey, I'm looking for these NAICS codes. If you check any of these boxes, let's connect. He's very clear on what he's doing because he's trying to find the right partner. And if you're the right partner, he wants to hear from you. Okay. Yeah. The really important thing is that consistency is the secret. You need to schedule your time. You can't walk away for months from your platform. That's sending a message to LinkedIn that you're not there, and so nobody cares about what you're doing. But if you're starting to get traction, you're showing you add value to the community, LinkedIn will love you. So you have to do it intentionally. Schedule your time. I just do it with my morning coffee. Actually, I go on several times a day, but that's because that's my world. But you schedule your time. Find 7 to 10 places that you can comment with value. I showed you how to use the search filters to see who's posting and what's interesting. Try to post 2 or 3 times every week if you can, but if not, even once a week is showing that you are active and that you are open to connections and growing your business. Follow new people. You don't have to connect with them, just follow them, and that will get a notification through LinkedIn whenever they're posting content that you might be interested in. And really, I would strongly say support your peers and your colleagues. Everybody is trying to grow on this platform, and I don't mean insincere, but if your colleague or peer posts something interesting, go engage it, because it sends a message to LinkedIn that you're active, the other person's content is relevant, and that there's dynamics. Remember that LinkedIn is a for-profit entity. Their goal is to keep you on the platform. And the way they do that is by feeding you things that they think you would enjoy. In this way, LinkedIn is exactly like Instagram or Facebook. The more you interact with a certain type of content, the more you will get of that content. If you interact with a lot of dog and puppies and silly videos, LinkedIn will say, "Oh, that's your niche," and they'll do that. But maybe you're over in IT or CMMC or manufacturing dam work or something. Well, if you're interacting with too many puppies, you're not getting manufacturing notifications. You're getting, puppy chow. So remember, it's the laws of attraction, the keywords of attraction. The words you use are the way you communicate your message and the way that you receive your message. Here's an example. Why did I grab that? So this is an example. I pulled this. See the search bar. Sometimes you think, well, who do I interact with? Because I don't know. So that's okay. You just go up to the search bar. You put a word. Again, I'm using manufacturing as my example today. You hit manufacturing and it'll give you search options. In this case, I wanted posts from the past month. And this was the one that came up first. Now, it happens to be an excellent post. It's talking about what they're doing. It's a dynamic image. I don't good. They have links to their own business stuff. Don't worry about links as much as getting information, because LinkedIn wants you to keep them on your platform. So if you can send them to your company page or send them back to the CEO page or the key employee page, that's what you're looking for. But this is a beautiful post. If you look, it's got a power statement, right? You're looking, wow, cutting costs isn't the goal. Making smart decisions is. Okay, well, that just says efficiency, right? Well, let's see what Blue Oak is talking about. And then very quickly, it's easy to read, space in the content, what we call listicles, those three check things are just, your eye loves that. Your eye loves to skim, and you're more likely to read. They could have written this thing in, 3 paragraphs. It would have been equally accurate, but nobody would read it. The last thing at the end, they got a good little emoji pointing to where to go, but it's not really necessary. But all the hashtags, uh, the hashtags have kind of faded out. You can use them. You can use them, but they don't work in the way that they used to even a year ago, because now that the AI and the search capacity is so good, people are not following designated hashtags. The only exception might be if there's an event hashtag. For example, today it's hashtag Apex 2025, I think. So that would be the only example. Uh, so 45 minutes, that's pretty good. Next steps. We're celebrating National Apex Day. I would say take a moment and thank your Apex counselor. They work very, very hard, and I don't think they get the love they deserve. Register on LinkedIn. Connect with everyone you know. Connections are easy. Just send it. You can send it with a note or you can send it without a note, but start to build your circle of connections. The goal is 500. In the eyes of LinkedIn, if you don't have at least 500, you're not a fully optimized profile. May seem like an arbitrary number, but that's the number where LinkedIn stops counting how many connections you have. So make sure you get those connections in. Follow, and if you need help, you can connect with me. I connect with everyone that's legitimately in the GovCon space. I'm very happy to help and support you in that regard. Follow everyone you want to get to know. There are a lot of people out there that are experts, and you're interested in their content, but you not enough that you should be connected to them, or it's too soon in the relationship. But follow them because you want to see what they're writing about. Really use LinkedIn as your online capability statement. Everything that we talked about that was on your capability statement should also be on your personal and company page naturally, right? Weaving it in, those keywords matter so that it's all searchable, so that you pop up when people are looking for what you have to sell. Prioritize your personal profile and then create your company page and make sure that everybody from your company is linked to your company page, because it really is a spider web, right? You tell 2 people and they tell 2 people and so far and so far. And that's how we grow. So I kept this fairly high when I work with clients or even in my own free content on my LinkedIn channel. I'll give you a lot of specific tactical tips. I certainly covered a lot. I would remind you to go back to your SBA profile and make sure it is correct, because that will really sabotage things for you if it is not. And of course, please join my free LinkedIn newsletter every week. Every Tuesday morning, I write about tactical, easy to implement strategies, and I'm here for you. So there we go. Thank you very, very much. I'm going to go back. I'm going to stop sharing, Colleen, and we can open to questions.
Sure. Well, I really want to thank you, Cecilia. Thanks for the love for Apex Accelerators. We really appreciate it. And I just want to draw back again to your tagline, which is invisible companies don't win government contracts. And you started out talking about that. I feel like it's going to be something that really sticks with people, having seen your presentation. I know we have a few questions in the Q&A.
I think one of the primary questions I have, it doesn't apply to me in this moment, but I think a lot of people are balancing the company's identity with their personal identity. I pretty much am my startup right now. But some people may actually even be planning to do something else in their life. Do you have any general suggestions to address that kind of challenge?
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. Uh, so I have my opinion, and I think just keep asking people who have other opinions. But my feeling is, if you are in business and this is your business, go all in because you don't want to confuse people with your profile. And I've had clients where this was an issue because um, this particular client had a passionate nonprofit role, and then she had goods and services she was selling to the government. So one was her passion and one was her revenue. The thing is, LinkedIn is a professional platform. Not that you can't talk about your nonprofit stuff, but you have to decide what you want to be known for. And the truth is, we have nanosecond attentions and we can't multitask. So I'll use myself for example. I actually, for 25 years, owned a music company. I represent Irish musicians. I've produced documentaries and films and CDs and international tours, and I did all that stuff. That's in the footnotes in my experience section. But that's not what I do. I might do a little bit of that over on Facebook still or off platform, but that's not my professional identity anymore. So when you go to my LinkedIn identity, you're only going to see LinkedIn for GovCon, Visible Companies Don't Win. All of my content is singular because I want you to say, oh, that's Cecilia. She works with small businesses to get them on LinkedIn. Like that's the only thing I want in your head. So if um, your experience section allows you to do things like if you have that other side business, you can list it in your side business. But I would not promote two things on LinkedIn. The other thing is, what is that second business? If you're in the GovCon space, if you're in the B2B or the B2G space, LinkedIn is very strong, and um, and the kinds of materials you're sharing might be a little bit more substantive than what you might want on Instagram. Instagram is a fabulous platform for growing a business, but more on the B2C side. So you have to think about what it is you're doing. And there's nothing to say that in your experience section you put company B and you link to your Instagram. Like this is a tool for you. But so there's that. And then the other thing, just as in general, personal versus company page. Um, the new trends with the LinkedIn algorithm are that personal profiles outpull company profiles, which is why I said make sure your company profile is complete. Make sure it has a logo, which allows people to link to it. But really, your primary content, you are the expert. And LinkedIn and all social media these days, but LinkedIn is it's really personality. Business has shifted to we are our brands, right? You'll hear that a lot. So if you are the brand, create the content. It borrows from your expertise. You can reshare it to your company page. But yeah, that's what I would say about that. I hope that helped.
Quite a lot. Thanks. I don't want to monopolize, but I have another one.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Is it really true that the best times to post content to get maximum attention are Tuesday and Thursday mornings at roughly 10 a.m. Central Standard Time?
That's such a great question. Uh, and the answer is the best time to post content is when your targeted audience is online. In my case, because I serve small businesses and I'm in the GovCon space, I stay on 9 to 5, nine coast to coast, right? 9 to 5. I'm available because that's it. And so I post in the morning because it's calmer as people get into the day. And another trick is we post on the weekend because people catch up with their scrolling. Most people during the week might only spend 10 minutes to read. They spend more time posting, but to flip through their content. They may be going through very fast. and you can't really guess when they're on. And here's what's really important in the new LinkedInosphere. Um, LinkedIn's doing this funky thing where in my dreams, I put a post, you read my post. It's in real time, but in fact, that's not what happens. You write a post, LinkedIn pushes it out a little bit. They wait to see if it gets traction. Oh, it's timely, it's relevant. If you get some quick traction, it'll push it a little bit further. It gatekeeps it a little bit, which is why when you post, um, LinkedIn is looking for you to actually be active on the platform. You can't what they do called post and ghost. You can't. I mean, you can, but it has negative impact. You want to be around so that LinkedIn says, oh, this is not just you delivering newspapers. This is you interacting with your peer group. So you want to be in a little bit early, commenting with other people as you do your post. Every reaction or every comment that somebody puts on your post, you want to jump on and react to, because LinkedIn is a living, breathing organism. So there's that. And then it pushes out. But the other thing that's happening right now with the algorithm is, and this is all outside of our control, right? It's a machine. So uh, it's circulating content from 2 weeks ago. So it gives second life to stuff that you would have done, but it can be really annoying if you were trying to be time specific. Um, so there's that. But everybody has a different audience. If I was trying to reach people in a professional, let's say school associations, I wouldn't put my stuff in the middle of the day where teachers and people in that industry were completely offline. Um, and you just have to experiment too. You have to experiment. And you also can't take this is an art, it is not a science. What if you put the best post out, which we have done? You put out the absolute perfect best post, and then something in the news eclipsed it, and then it got pushed to the side, or the who knows what happens? Just think life happens, and then people don't look, right? So they might miss it. So the content that we're putting out should be evergreen quality. It's something that you're sharing that's helping your community and your desired clients and customers that will help them, right? The more you help, the more you share, the more your insights people know, like, and trust. We talk about all the time. This is not a platform that's transactional. Relationships take time. And so you put it out, you're not trying to hit the bingo board. You want to be putting it out and people are like, wow, look at that. This person interacts a lot. The other thing is if you're interacting on other people's content and people see you, that's why that tagline is so critical. If they see you, they're going to immediately bounce back to your profile and they're going to immediately look to see what you have been posting about of your own. So even if it wasn't done that morning and you did it the day before, your content will be there whenever people come check you out. I'll bet.
There's another question that we saw that said, what past performance language and metrics should be used on LinkedIn without overclaiming or breaking confidentiality? So that seems like kind of a tightrope.
That's good. That's really good. Let's see. Conservative is always the conservative, and I always like to pause here to say, I don't answer specific government contracting specific questions. You should ask your experts at the Apex Accelerator because they will answer any legal technical questions. But from a promotional point of view and marketing, you can absolutely talk about the agencies you've worked at. I would leave off unless you landed some billion-dollar contract, in which case I would do fireworks. but you can talk around something, right? You don't have to say I sold 10 widgets for $35, blah, blah, blah. You can say, we're really excited. We're working with this particular agency, and we're doing healthcare renovation, and we've been able to save them 35% on their operational costs just by changing the workflows. Now, and we're doing that between 21 and 27, or whatever the days are, right? Right then, I'm telling you what we did, who the agencies were, what the outcomes were, but I didn't break the confidence. Now, anybody who wants to know will privately talk to you, and then you're having private conversations. But you can say things like, hey, I'll give you another example. One of my clients, incredible folks in New Jersey, and they're electricians, master contractors. They stepped in during hurricane season and they were helping the coastal installations fortify their, I don't know my electrical terms. Sorry, anybody can help me out there, but but anyways, basically so that the salt water wasn't causing corrosion, and et cetera, et cetera. So they were able to mention the scope of the project. They mentioned, more importantly, they talked about why it was important. Most people don't know that 50% of installations are 75 years or older. That's a made up fact. I don't know. But but they could write whatever the fact is, and then they can say, we are helping the US military modernize, bring their systems to code, and making them efficient, responsible, and these kind of preemptive things are our contribution to supporting the national defense or national security. Like you can spin your story. You want to make it interesting and relevant. The most important thing is don't be boring. Like love your network. Okay, this is my absolute pulpit, and I apologize to you guys that have heard it, but please, we are all looking for interesting information. We're very interested in your company, but make it interesting. Like make it easy to read. You don't have to entertain me, but don't, an infographic. That's cool. A photo. Very cool. A photo of the people who work there, like the ones I showed you about the guys working on the power grid. Like understand, and I'm not going to get this fact correctly, but we think more visually. What you showed visually, people retain more, and you can communicate emotion more. And again, the content you're writing is to demonstrate competency and intrigue and let them want to learn more about you. Okay, I'll stop on that.
No, I think that was good. There was another one, and we've got actually quite a few questions. This one's regarding recommendations and endorsements. I think it's going to be similar to the answer you just gave. How many and from whom should you include titles, to emphasize your GovCon credibility?
Okay, I'll answer that quickly. So LinkedIn has a recommendations thing. Anytime anybody has loved you, ask them, hey, would you write a recommendation? I always coach them and say, these are the three things we want people to know, or can you talk to this angle? They will get a link to the recommendation. They write it and you approve it, but it will link to their LinkedIn profile. So you can't control their titles or any of that. It'll come from their actual profile. That's one thing. But another thing I like is way up in the about section, you can list testimonials in there. You can, obviously, they have to be approved, but you can say, for example, at the end of this training, I would like Eileen to give me a recommendation that I could put in my about section that says, Cecilia spoke at the Illinois Apex Day conference and she delivered tremendous material that people could implement immediately. I would drop that into my about section. I would not let it get buried down in the recommendations because those are chronological and once you can't pin them so they don't stay there. So there's that. And again, pay attention to all the legal stuff that's in your NDAs and all that. But
very good. And now there's another questions about impressions. How do they influence algorithm, organic reach, things like that?
Okay, so the big question of the day, that is all changing radically right now. So we want to be careful not to fall into the vanity metrics. We want a certain number of likes, so we want a certain amount. Most of LinkedIn are lurkers. So if somebody hasn't liked something, that doesn't mean they don't like something. It just means they either didn't take the action or, in fact, some people don't want to take the action because they like what you're doing, but they don't want the algorithm to say, oh, send me more of that because they're trying to refine it. Again, how you interact with the platform determines your notification feed. In the same way as you might connect with somebody And then they're just overwhelming you with content and you want to stay connected, but you don't want all their content. You can unfollow them and you're still connected, but it just means their posts won't flood. I'm sure people have done that to me. Like they like what I write, but maybe it's disproportional in quantity to what they want. That's okay. It's okay. So there's that. So impressions, LinkedIn has started to show your post impressions, and um, there's what you know, what you don't know. It gives you that. You could be getting 10 times the number of impressions, but if they're the impressions of the wrong people, like if the wrong, I'm very narrow niched, right? I work with small businesses, blah, blah, blah. And you'll also see me totally following NASA because I'm a space junkie. But I'm not trying to pitch to this. Well, if all of a sudden my content is going over there, which is outside of what I'm trying to do, I may have great impressions, but that's not the audience I'm trying to reach. So the impressions give you a little bit of information, but not the big picture. It's but in the same way with connections. You'll see some people have a billion connections. And some of the reasons is they'll connect with anybody, or they started very early when there was kind of an open press a couple of years ago, or they're posting. Like you can never know what's going, if grass is always greener or in someone else's marriage. You just don't know what you don't know. Um, some people publish just tons of like clickbait content. It's leadership content. It's have a happy day content. It's a, nice uplifting, but a sort of Instagram appropriate, but not really LinkedIn. Yes, it's lovely. Yes, it's nice. I like these people personally, but I don't want it in my feed because it's not helping me generate revenue and create my business and expand, blah, 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 right? It's not core to my business. But if you, so then once you have astronomical number, five-figure number of followers, you're going to, it's a percentage game after that. The percent, LinkedIn sends out to a percentage of your list. So people who have a larger, um, just look at Neil and I, and my super close brother. Neil's been at this game for a long time, at this game, meaning teaching small businesses how to succeed as government contractors daily since 2018, and he has done 700 live trainings. I've done not that many, not even 10% of that. Neil's impressions are off the chart, but all of Neil's contacts and his followers and his connections are all hyper focused on GovCon. So you have to understand, where do the numbers come from? Why are people connecting? That. So that was the longer answer, but hopefully some other contextual.
That was Brett's question, so hopefully, Brett, that was a good one. And then Annette is asking, if you have an old post, but it has received a lot of likes and comments, would you suggest bumping it up or reposting it when relevant?
Oh, that's such a great question. Annette asked that? That's
Yes,
such
and
a
if you
great
want to
question.
join in, anyone that I ask your question, I should have said that earlier with Brett, just join in with the conversation. You can unmic and just start talking.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm happy to stay on as long as it is of service to you, because this is really fun for me. I love this. Um, so if you have a post that's doing really, really well, and in that first let's say 24, 48 hours, I would repost it yourself, not with comments because you don't want to break the feed. Just hit a repost yourself. Anybody else who reposts it for you, be sure to shoot them a message to say, hey, thank you very much, because that's a very generous thing to do. So, and they'll do it again because we all like to be appreciated. You can repost it, again, no comments, to your company page. And then what I would do is, if you got quality interaction, that's a sign that that content is what your audience wants. So I wouldn't necessarily keep reposting that same one. I would repackage that message. If you were on, so in the case of Annette, if you were doing something specific about infection control and HVAC systems, then she could do another one that tells the same bottom line. And another thing you should know, and here's another way of looking at it, because what she will do is, the more she spins and continues to stay around this framework, you start to get your individual branding and your thought leadership, and you're demonstrating your expertise. I wouldn't do the exact thing. You could make it similar because you also have to assume that people don't see it, right? They're not going to see everything, but stay on that message until people are tired of that message.
Okay, so since I'm allowed to speak,
Yeah, go
so then the follow-up question then is that even though we're not going to have the exact same post, we could keep the same theme going, but perhaps also educate while we're doing that about why it's important.
Yes, yes, and another trick. And by the way, I'm used to I never self-promote, but if anybody wants to find out more information about actually working with me, reach out. That's my plug. But what you could do is you write that first post, it does great. You write the next post along the same theme, and then in the comments section, you reference back to the first post. You could do that in your newsletters too. You're writing about your specific topic, and then you say, if you want more, I wrote about this here, and you link it up. So what you're doing is you're creating an ecosystem of your expertise. Does that make sense?
Yes, and not to monopolize. So then what I would want to do then to be more creative is to be able to use keywords in that post for governments, contracting, things like that, correct?
I did not, usually in my presentations, I have a whole chunk on
Hey,
keywords.
Margarita.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. All right, how are you?
Jesse, are you talking in our
Okay.
webinar because we're hearing you?
Uh-huh. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, can we mute that?
Yep.
Long day so far?
Yep. Sorry about that, Annette. Go ahead.
I've lost the question.
Oh, no, that's okay. No, I was just curious if we should now use this platform.
Oh, keywords.
Yes.
Keywords. Thanks, Annette. Keywords. Keywords is the framework of everything. So when you have your business, you have what we call tier 1, 2, and 3 keywords. Tier 1 are the keywords you must be found for. In your case, it's HVAC and infection, all those keywords. You know that every time you write, whether it's your narrative on DSBS, SBS, or your capability statement, your SAM.gov, your LinkedIn stuff, every single time you post or you're talking about stuff, your keywords are being woven in there naturally. That's what creates your continuity. Then you have a second level of keywords. And these are keywords that are adjacent, right? Okay, if you talk about this, you also talk about this. It might be technology tools like manufacturing tools, or again, this is not I'm not thinking off the top of my head well here, but they would be the adjacent words that might also be used in the same industry needs. Again, always writing for the reader. So it's not what you do, it's what they're looking for, right? What you think about, well, what is maybe the VA, I'm thinking for your case, what does the VA need in order to make sure that their hospitals are perfectly sterilized? Well, they're going to be looking for X, Y, and Z, whatever those things are. You want to be sure that those are the topics you're talking about. And going back to the post and making it relevant things, when you're talking about this stuff, you're doing your own business development, you're trying to build your own network, but other people are thinking about you too. And so then if they're in a situation where they're hearing that somebody needs these sort of UV lights and all this sort of technology, they say, oh, you should go talk to Net. Like your message is going out laterally as well as vertically. And so that's why keywords are so essential.
And you've got a plug here for your brother from Russell, who says GovCon in a box is a free great keyword search and creation option.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah. And if you can also just email me and DM me, I'll send you the link. Thanks, Russ. That was a great idea.
Now I have an anonymous question, and I think it's an important one. They say asking for a friend. Any advice for people who don't want to show their face in order to avoid biases like racism, ageism, and things like that? It's a tough question.
Um,
It is
okay,
a tough
so
question. Yeah.
it is a tough question, but it's absolutely not a tough question.
Okay.
Like, okay, it's all me all the time. You just get me as you see me. I'm sorry, but these things exist. Racism, sexism, ableism, these things exist. And anybody that looks at your profile and judges you on that, you are never going to win them over anyways. That is on them. That is not on you. You are a professional who owns a small business. And by God, we should just pause and celebrate the fact that you guys are running small businesses, and small businesses are the backbone of America. So I'm sorry people react badly. Shame on them. Really, shame on them. This is America, and we are a diverse society. Shame on them. Whatever, that's their baggage. But I totally get that everybody's afraid of taking pictures. My God, like, look at Neil. Neil is just like, yeah, he just jump out 700 trainings. He doesn't care. For me, it took a long time to get more confident. So I respect confidence. I respect modesty. These are real. What I would say, you absolutely have to have a photo in your profile. If you do not have a photo, people in LinkedIn will think it's a bot account, and you can't get around that. What I would suggest is that you find somebody who loves you, or a stranger, that's good too, and take a handful of photos with your iPhone. It does not have to be perfect. It does have to be basically head and shoulders. It has to be a photo that just makes you look who you are, accessible, normal, just approachable. You just want a photo that looks approachable. You don't want a photo that says, I'm buff and don't talk to me. Like, you want a photo that just says, oh, you're normal. I'll talk to you. That's my tough love speech.
Well, that I think is a good answer, really. And then Lewis has a question. And again, anyone, if you want to jump in, I'm just asking it because it's in the Q&A. He wants to know if it's important to have a premium subscription.
Oh, good question. Thanks, Lewis. That's a good question. It is important to have a good photo, but the premium subscription is not necessary in the beginning. I have a premium subscription because I am on it. Neil has a premium subscription. I wonder if Neil's on the call, but Neil works. He's got 40,000 followers and he's got 25,000 plus connections. A premium subscription allows you to contact more people, have more conversations, slightly stronger tools, but most people don't need it. What you need is a photo, a strong tagline, a well-written thing, and engagement. Because it doesn't matter if you have premium, and I see this all the time, if you have premium and you write bad content, no content, oh, here's something we haven't talked about. We could talk about what you should not put on LinkedIn. Like, your content should not it should not be racist, sexist. like the good example there. It should not be political in as much as it's not business transactional, right? This is not a place for that. If that stuff happens, everybody has political beliefs. Of course, that's fine. But if you start doing that, because our society is so kind of polarized and misunderstanding each other, it just creates opportunities for friction, and it's not the venue for it. So other platforms might be more appropriate. I know they can get pretty hairy over on Reddit, but on LinkedIn, this is business development, really know, like, and trust. And if you got a rant, you should find another place to take care of that and then come back when you're ready to, play nice. And then, of course, we talked earlier, obviously, don't give away any things that should not be disclosed. I mean, use your good judgment. Yeah.
Yes. So Brett does have another question, Brett Foster, just because we were talking about it. Do you have any comments about Reddit in the GovCon context, how to use it, etc.? And again, Brett, if you want to jump in.
Hey, Brett, do you use Reddit?
I do not, Cecilia. I mean, at least not for this purpose. So I guess my question was, what is your recommendation there? And specifically, how do CEOs interact? Because I have seen posts in Reddit that are anonymous, but you can kind of tell if a person knows what they're talking about. So I have seen, contracting officers in there. I just don't know kind of what their MO is and how they're using Reddit.
That's okay. That's really great context. So you're pointing out that really important thing that we talked about at the beginning, where you can be anonymous in Reddit and you cannot be anonymous on LinkedIn. And then on LinkedIn, because you're not anonymous, there are certain things that as a government employee, perhaps you can't say, that as an anonymous punter on Reddit, you can just go for it. A couple of things. Reddit has become super important. It's growing like mad, and it's becoming one of the most dynamic community building, and I use that term loosely, special interest groups. It has tremendous potential. It is not as searchable, but it's likely to become that way as the AI is advancing really quickly. So the content that's written over there might get picked up on into ChatGPT, as I was demonstrating earlier. So there's value there. I think the point you made about consider your source is super important. Does the person seem qualified? They're not likely to tell you which agency, for the most part, they're working for. But if you listen to them, so I used Reddit. I don't spend a lot of time, but I go over as a listening thing, and I listen to what people are talking about, and what frustrations they have, and what misinformation they have. And sometimes I get ideas. It's a great place to go get ideas for what to write about over on LinkedIn. People are talking. That means they're interested, and if you can provide the answer on LinkedIn, that's really good. But what you can get on Reddit is listening to the undertones. So like, people are, what are they frustrated? Are they saying, oh, contracts aren't going out or payments aren't being made? People can be very, very candid on that platform when they're hiding behind anonymity. So in as much as it is a listening tool, and in a business development, or what do they say, twice as much listening to talking, I think it's valuable. I think it's a rabbit hole in you could just get lost because there's just so much going on over there. And you can also you can get pulled into conversations you may not want to. There's always people who like a platform, and that kind of a thing gives you a preaching platform. But I think it's good to like what do you call it? The group, it's not called group, I forget what it's called in Reddit, but the special group that's GovCon or government contracting, there's one about LinkedIn tips. It's helpful, but remember, that's not the platform. That's not the official platform. Might be good for B2B. We talk about B2B, B2C, but for B2 government, LinkedIn is the platform.
So we still have some people hanging on. So I do have a few more questions. I think we're going to try to wrap by 2:30, just to give everybody time back in their day, although I think the discussion has been great. I've got a question from Sana and also from Annette. They're related to each other. So ladies, I'm going to ask this question for both of you, and please join in. So Annette says, I have more than 500 first connections. Going forward, how do I know who I should accept or who I should request to connect with? And she says she understands that following is different than connecting. So that's one part of it. And then Sana says, a little more simply, she said, question about 500 connections or more. Do we invite them manually? So it's all about managing these 500 connections, because you mentioned that there's a certain plateau that you get to at 500 connections. So talking about how do you get them, how do you connect with them, how do you manage them?
Okay. So the thing to remember is people connect, but that doesn't mean they take it to the next level unless you do it. If I am in my rhythm when I connect with somebody, I will let a day. I try to send a note with my connections. Don't, there's people have opinions about that, but if I'm reaching out to someone that I don't have an immediately obvious connection. So for example, usually when I'm reaching out, it'll say, oh, there's 80 common connections. I know that person's in the GovCon space. I should be connected to them. But if it's somebody maybe just outside and they have fewer, I'll send a note that explains why I'm reaching out. Then 48 hours after talking to them, I try to send a note that says, hey, thanks for connecting with me. I help small businesses in the space. Let me know if I can ever be of service. And that's it. I don't send a link. I don't ask for an appointment. I don't do anything. All I do is try to put a thing. One of the things I'd like to be experimenting, and I was writing it this week, is I'd love to know what people think about this, but LinkedIn has the capacity where you can send a short voicemail or you can send a short video. Um, I like that. That puts undue pressure on most people. I don't know if that's a fad that will come and go, but definitely. And the other thing is when this is relationships. So you want to be looking at what your connections are posting as much as you want them to be looking at your stuff. So I start every day and I do the search filter and I hit posts and I hit 24 hours or 7 days in case I miss something. And I look for first and second connections and it pulls me up all the posts of people. Now remember, um, like 3% of people actually post original content. They're going to be on, they're consuming, they're reading, they're commenting and engaging, but they're not creating content, which makes a case that if you are an expert in your space, now is the time to be creating content because they're looking for stuff and there's not a lot of people there. You're going to jump to the front of the line. So, and I would just start wherever you're at. I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't know what to post. Just post anything. Just get yourself in a rhythm. And I don't mean don't post bad stuff, but say you see a good document that you think your network would want. Hey, saw this great document. You see Neil's always sharing industry documents for strategic documents because that's very much aligned. It's something that brings value. So think whatever your industry is. Here's a thing. Here's our latest, whatever report.
So,
I'm
I'm
going
just
to be doing. I will say I am.
No, I
So
don't.
I work both with one-on-one with companies, and I also work with a group. I'm starting a new sort of cohort to be doing this over time. So if anyone's interested in actually joining a group in the GovCon space, working on their LinkedIn presence to elevate, reach out to me or just follow me. I'll be talking about it in the next week or two. But there's never been a better time to get active on LinkedIn.
terrific. And so, Annette or Sana, does that all make sense to you? Did you have any other questions? Certainly, this opportunity that Cecilia just mentioned will allow you to have some, customized advice. So make sure I'm not talking. Anybody else wants to?
Yes, I think Cecilia did mention it and basically explained it very clearly. So I think I'm good with that. And thank you for that, Cecilia.
You're welcome, Sana.
Okay, so Cecilia, just a real quick question then. Should we go ahead and remove some connections we've made from like years ago that are really not relevant or just leave them alone? I don't want to offend anybody, so.
Well, it's a choice. They're not hurting you, and it keeps your profile up. If at some point people are posting stuff that you don't want and it's completely afield, then you can unfollow. And um, unless somebody has been problematic, I've never found a reason to disconnect. Unless I found the only reason I disconnect is if there's somebody I don't want to do business with. Uh, That's
Like competitors?
Oh no, I definitely stay competitors because I don't know if you've heard, we talk a lot about competitors and competimates, right? And Neil is doing a lot of training these days on the importance of subcontracting and how you can really grow your business through subcontracting. Well, that's essentially um, bringing your expertise into a larger group. And sometimes you want to be connected to competitors. Say you're a woman owned. No, let me use a different one. Say you're 8A and you get a couple of 8As that bunch up together and you're all going to apply so that the award gets tipped to 8A. And again, my esteemed colleagues here can do this much better than me. But just on a superficial level, you get a couple of women, you want to tip it to women. Then you are what we call competimates. You're working together. And then if it goes that direction, you can go back to competing. But you can support each other to bring more business into your niche. So we should, unless somebody is ruthless, again, unless they're bad and you would never do business with them, then they're just people in the network.
All right, thank you.
One question. So Danielle is asking her question, and please chime in if you would like. She works with nonprofits and the government. What is the best way to ID customer, if not industry specific, like healthcare?
To identify a customer?
Well, that's what it says. Danielle, do you want to jump in? I'm asking you to unmute and explain your question a little bit. You should just be able to unmute. I think, when you were talking about the specifics of how to identify yourself and have that tagline, maybe she's saying maybe your what your offering is maybe is in a lot of areas, maybe. So how do you really do that?
So going back to what we call the foundations of LinkedIn, the goal is visibility. So both for your own and then to network with those that have complementary interests. So I would say start in the search bar, type in healthcare, hit return, hit people. If you're just looking for people to network, and actually I would be more specific. I would say Illinois, and I would say, because otherwise you're going to get billions of people. But search there, and then you can start to look or find a company that you are interested in working with, either as a teammate or maybe you're looking at as an employee. Look within the people that work there. What are they doing? What are they writing about? Are they people you should follow or connect with? But LinkedIn, you will not, for the most part, and everybody can correct me, for the most part, you will not find contract opportunities posted. Now you will see lots of sources saw it, and NavWire and those guys are getting better about putting these things out, and that's really, really good. They're starting to post, and they're starting to see that they can use LinkedIn as well as SAM and elsewhere. So that's a really positive sign. But the priority with LinkedIn is to make sure that you look like the person they're looking for. Finding the contract remains the same way as everything you teach in the Apex. You find the opportunity, you look for the source of sod, you go through your contracting process, your business development process. Your LinkedIn is the online capability statement. And we know from capability statements, the only purpose is to get that meeting so that you can take it to the next level. So I would search with the search tools. I would make sure that you looked like the right person. And I would also communicate with my network to say, hey, we're really looking for opportunities in blah, blah, blah. You will see that. I keep going back to Neil's lives, but he is the dominant force for live training on LinkedIn. If you engage in the comments, you'll see people say, hey, my company does CMMC. We're really open to serving people, or we're looking for subcontract opportunities. People will mention in there, and that's how you share information. So there's a lot of opportunities.
Have to be looking for that connection. And then I just got two more. Now, this question is anonymous. It's asking, without an act of Congress, is it a must that we call the DoD the Department of War, or do you know of any division in its use? Now, I think we are going with the culture as it is, right?
So in my opinion, we have one president. I call him Mr. President. We have, whatever your politics is, this is where we are. And I am a firm believer of living where we are and respecting whatever the office is. So it's Mr. Secretary, and don't need to put the rest of it. I think that is a loss. Although let's just put all that aside and let's actually talk about what is behind. And this gets to an earlier question. These are very difficult times. These are very stressful, volatile, reactional times, and we're all in it together. Under this administration, there has been a lot of downsizing and changing of priorities. One of the big downsizing, changing of priorities is everything under diversity, equity, and inclusion. Regardless of your opinion on that issue, it is an administrative fact that those are just trigger buttons. They are not funding programs. They are closing departments in that area. It is what it is, what it is. My advice and advice of other people in this space is to realize that your company is competent because your company is competent, not specifically because of diversity, equity, inclusion. Those are bonuses that enrich your community, that do all those other things. But you're the best welder, or you're the best IT person, or you're the best doctor, or, manufacturer, whatever your specialty is. That is your strength. And so sadly, we are saying, you need to look hard at the way you describe your narrative and your keywords and protect yourself and remove anything that would be a trigger word. And that could be anything from women or anything that we accidentally picked up. It could be diversity, and I hate saying this, but I am on the side of helping. So instead of diversity, instead of diversity, you're talking. You can't use that word because it's a trigger word, and it'll get you thrown out before you make your case. So I would use things like a wide variety of, a range of. Pull out your thesaurus and defend yourself. Whack them with it if you have to. Just stand up and hold your own. You're competent small businesses. They need your services. This is where we're at right now. That one is the easiest one. Diversity is the easiest one. There's a lot of words in the thesaurus. And even though these other issues are important social issues, the current government structure is saying this cannot be part of the decision-making factor, and our job is simply to respect it. And if we can't respect it, then perhaps the GovCon space is not where you should be trying to do business right now. And these are just hard truths.
Yeah, I suppose, and if that office is calling themselves by a particular name in their solicitation, then you just call it what they call it at this time. So I understand that question, but this is, what we're doing.
And also, Colleen, to that, it's just the basics of writing. You want to write whatever you're writing. You want to write in the language of the person who's receiving it because they want to see themselves in your stuff. We're always that way, right? So if they use a certain word and it's a word that fits, then use their words. It's not
sure. Makes
that's
sense.
how write for the reader.
Sure. And then the last question, is specific to creating like a LinkedIn banner or some of those technical questions of how to do those types of things. I would think that would be best served by maybe one of your other meetings or newsletters or other things that you might provide to people for tips of how to make their LinkedIn. Is that correct? And would you recommend?
Well, I think the quick answer is if you just Google LinkedIn banner, there's lots of free services that you can do. You can go to Canva, there's templates, you can put it out. Don't overthink it, and you don't have to spend a ton of money. You just don't want the LinkedIn default because you want something there that's polished, ideally something that has an image that's related to the nature of your business. It just creates continuity. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, we are a little over the time frame that I originally even said, but I think the information was valuable. We've still got quite a few people who are with us, but I think we will go ahead and give you back your day. Any final parting words for anybody, Cecilia?
Just keep the faith. I really appreciate your interest. I appreciate you coming today. If you have any questions after this, please reach out. If you're not connected to me, please reach out. I'd be happy to continue this journey with you. And again, happy National Apex Day to you and all of your team. And we thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you very much. So I'll go ahead and stop our recording. This will be available as will slide decks.